Hello everyone and welcome to Myths from the Past. Today's myth is the story of Aries, one of the 12 zodiac signs as told in Greek mythology. The story I'm telling you today has an evil stepmother, a tragic death, human sacrifices, witches, magical animals, and of course, Greek gods. So be sure to stay to the end to get all of the story. In Greek mythology, as well as any other mythology, small variations in details will always exist. This is partially due to stories being morphed over time, as many of these myths and legends were spread by word of mouth, changing slightly every time, like a game of telephone played out over centuries and centuries. I have done my research to ensure that you hear the most accurate and common version of the myth, but if you have heard another version, understand that there is a good chance that neither are incorrect, but are rather myths changed over time. With that being said, before we hop into today's story, please take a few seconds to like this video and subscribe. The more of you who do so, the more these videos get pushed out, and the more time I'm able to devote to making new videos for you to enjoy. Overall, it's a win-win for both you and I would greatly appreciate it. The tale starts at the kingdom of Boeotia, which is located in central Greece, west of the kingdom of Colchis. Boeotia is vast and diverse, having mountainous regions, lots of farmland, and even access to the sea. The major city located in Boeotia is the city of Thebes. Throughout Greek mythology, Thebes has been a major city, being the location of legends such as Orion, Narcissus, and Heracles, whom you may recognize by his Roman name, Hercules. During the time period of this story, the king of Boeotia was Athamas, and he ruled the kingdom with his wife, Queen Ino. Though they had many children, this story concerns the children Phrixus and Helle, who were children of Athamas, but not of Queen Ino. Their real mother was a cloud nymph named Nephele. Nymphs are not uncommon in Greek mythology, and neither are the children of a nymph and a man. Achilles, famous for his involvement in the Trojan War, is a great example of such a child. Nymphs were very minor deities, having eternal life, but often not much power. The children of nymphs and man were, by all purposes, considered demigods. This is no different for Phrixus and Helle. Though King Athamas loved his children, his wife, Queen Ino, did not. They lived as a constant reminder of her husband's unfaithfulness and made her appear weak and sad in the eyes of the masses. In her jealousy, Queen Ino decided that she would do away with Athamas' beloved son, Phrixus, for good. Ino, in secrecy, had all of the seeds in her kingdom roasted, effectively destroying them. The next year, all of the crops in Boeotia failed to sprout, and a famine began. King Athamas was now in a very dangerous situation. Throughout history, regardless of time period, when a ruler's people go hungry, the ruler does not seem to last long. Knowing this, and with a genuine concern for his people, King Athamas sent a group of men to a nearby oracle. Their hope was that the oracle could give them a solution to the famine, which, in their minds, was a punishment from the gods themselves. When the men arrived back from the oracle, Queen Ino took them aside before they could meet with their king. She promised them riches beyond their wildest dreams, titles of nobility, and land they could call their own. In return, she wanted just one simple thing. Queen Ino wanted the men to tell her husband that the oracle had a solution to the famine. The only way to appease the gods would be to sacrifice his own son, Phrixus. The king loved his son, and the idea of losing him was too much. But at the same time, his people were dying of hunger, and the gods themselves seemed to be upset. He struggled with the fake request from the oracle. At the end of the day, does his son's life outweigh the lives of all the people in his kingdom? Reluctantly, the king agreed to the sacrifice to save his kingdom. Meanwhile, Phrixus and Helle's real mother, the nymph Nephele, caught wind of Ino's wicked plan. Shocked and angered by Ino's simple yet seemingly effective strategy, Nephele went to the gods for help. Zeus, god of skies and leader of the Olympians, decided to offer his aid to Nephele through gifting her Aries. Aries, who happens to be the first of the zodiac signs, is a large golden ram with wings that allow him to fly at great speeds for long distances. Being a gift from Zeus himself, we can only imagine just how powerful and magical Aries truly was. Aries flew straight to Phrixus and Helle, and though Helle was not in immediate danger, the two decided to flee on the back of the flying ram. Aries took off with both on his back towards the kingdom of Colchis, located east of Boeotia. While crossing the ocean on their journey, Helle fell off of Aries and plummeted to the sea below. To honor her memory, the area of the ocean that she fell into was later renamed to Hellespont. Now, remember how I mentioned earlier that mythology is often varied throughout its retellings? Well, in certain tellings of this myth, rather than drowning in the sea, Helle was saved by the god of the oceans, Poseidon, who took pity on her and made her a minor goddess. Regardless of which version of the story you hear, it is very clear that when Aries lands in the kingdom of Colchis, Phrixus is the only person on board. Once Phrixus arrives, he is immediately taken into protection by Colchis' king, King Aeete. Unlike King Athamas, King Aeete is not a mortal man. In fact, the king is the son of Helios, a Titan. Before Zeus and the other Olympians ruled, the Titans were the original gods. Helios, as well as a small number of other Titans, were allowed to remain in power as they sided with Zeus early on in the revolt against Kronos and the other Titans. For those of you who have heard Greek mythology before, you may be aware of the name Circe, the witch who lived on her island and transformed men into pigs. King Aeete was actually her brother. Once under King Aeete's protection, Phrixus decided that he must thank the gods for their gift of Aries and for saving his life. He decided that to honor the gods, he would sacrifice Aries to Zeus himself. Once Aries had been sacrificed, the greatest gift of the zodiac animal was left behind. The fleece of the ram, shining brilliantly in the golden color of Aries, was to become known as the Golden Fleece, one of the most magical and powerful items in Greek mythology, capable of curing any blight. Knowing its value, King Aeete immediately took the fleece to his private and heavily fortified garden. As if that weren't enough, the king had the fleece guarded at all times by a giant dragon. From here, Phrixus lived his life in Colchis, even marrying the king's daughter Chalciope. Together, the couple had 4 sons, the oldest being Argos. Argos went on to craft the Argo, one of the most famous ships in Greek mythology. He and his 3 brothers eventually became members of the Argonauts, a group of heroic sailors who accompanied Jason on his ironic quest to steal the Golden Fleece. However, that is a story I will delve into on another video. Once again, please take the time to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content. As I said earlier, the more of you who do so, the more time I can devote to putting content out. Hope to see you soon on Myths from the Past.